All right, so we've got the recording going. I think you are all set, sir. Take it away.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I'd like to thank Professor Mead for inviting me to come speak tonight. My name is Matthew, and I'm the creator of Find My COVID Test. If you're not too familiar with Find My COVID Test, it is an interactive website that I created that helps users find all COVID-19 testing centers in their local area and filter the results based on their preferences. A little bit more about myself. As mentioned, I'm the creator of the site, and I'm a senior UI UX design student at UC Davis. If you'd like to contact me with any questions later on, feel free to ask them, but also my contact information is listed over here. And a little bit more about tonight's presentation. The outline goes as followed. I'll be talking about the background and problems of the current situation with registering for a COVID-19 test, the design aspects of my prototype and branding, and third, the development process, both on the front end and back end. So for background, after my own possible exposure to COVID-19, I realized the difficulties of finding and registering for a COVID-19 test. It made me realize that if a 20-year-old is having trouble finding a COVID-19 test and how to register for one, then many other people will, and that there had to be a solution for that. And so there were four main problems that I had identified after analyzing the current situation. First off, COVID-19 testing center accessibility. Second, the difficult website navigation. Third, the user experience. And fourth, the personal data collection. When you attempt to register for a COVID-19 test, sometimes the website will make you give your insurance information, your email address, where you live, and a whole bunch of other personal data. And then once you get to the final step where it's like, oh, here are all of the available testing centers near you, there comes out to be one that is 20 or like 40 miles away from you. And I don't think anyone wants to drive that far for a test. So after identifying my own problems with the current situation, I conducted a research study surveying 39 individuals ages 20 to 50 who had previously taken a COVID-19 test. I found that the average time to register for a COVID-19 appointment takes 16 minutes. The difficulties finding a testing center nearby, and that people also had difficulty finding a testing center that fit their own criteria. Creating a solution. So after analyzing the problems that I had and the experiences of others, I decided to create a website that helps find all of the COVID-19 testing centers in the user's area based on their personal preferences. And how was Find My COVID Test made? It was completely designed in Figma and then developed in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Google Firebase, the Google Maps API, and Google Sheets. Jumping into the design process, to design the prototype, there were some components that I really wanted to make sure that I nailed, such as making sure that it was user-friendly, first off, making sure that anyone could access it, whether that be someone in their teens or someone in their 60s. That users would be able to view all of the testing centers in their local area, so they wouldn't have to go to multiple websites to try to find a testing center. This would just be one single site that they would be able to find all of the testing centers in their area, and that users would have the ability to filter through preferences. Oh, sorry. So as you can see on the right, that image is actually the first iteration of my prototype. Originally, I had thought that there would be also a list view as well as a map view where users would be able to see the different testing centers around them. And then on the right, they would be able to filter the testing centers based on their preferences. In my second iteration, I made sure to make it super clean, a simple user interface, and really nail down the filtering options that I wanted to include. And as you can already tell, improving the colors. This was a big improvement compared to the first one. I ultimately decided against adding a list view because I thought that it would be more beneficial for users to actually see on the map how far that the testing centers would be from their current location. And a map was just a more visual way for users to kind of identify areas that were nearby to them, as opposed to a list view where they would just see like 10 miles. After creating my my second iteration, I conducted user testing. And as you can tell from some of the notes I have over here, I interviewed Marcella, a 20 to 30-year-old, who said that the product was user-friendly and intuitive, and that adding a search bar would be useful. Additionally, I interviewed Hilda, a 40 to 50-year-old, who mentioned that applying a filters button on the mobile application would be useful, and to notify users with location permissions turned off that they would have to search for their location. I should also note that the mockup that you see on the right is also part of the prototype I had made. I had made a desktop and mobile prototype to kind of get a better gauge of designing for both screens in the long run, and also just to user test and make sure that everything was good and easy to use. Next comes branding. After receiving feedback from multiple peers and other people, I had jumped into branding of the product. And I knew that Find My COVID Test would essentially need to be health and wellness related. So if I took inspiration from applications like Sutter Health, where they have, and other medical applications that they use like a greenish, bluish color and use the purple. I knew that I wanted to have vibrant colors. And so the red and the purple kind of the complementary colors really helped. And I wanted to make sure that was recognizable. So the logo takes inspiration from that iconic image that we all have seen today of coronavirus and the Google Maps pins that were on the application. And I formed them together to create the logo. And here's the final draft. I finalized on the branding. So going back to the previous iterations, I had actually had purple Google Maps pins, but I felt like the red, keeping it recognizable to the Google Maps markers would be easier for users to navigate and just be used to seeing that. And also it provided a nice complementary color with the purple. So now we'll be talking about the development process. So how did I go from these Figma prototypes into an actual website that you can now visit today? Well, I won't be going into all the details from start to finish on how I developed it, but the main component of Find My COVID Test is the filtering. So each filtering category is composed of input buttons, as you can see on the top image. And when a button is clicked, it stores that selection in the JavaScript object that then compares and checks all of the markers as shown in the bottom image in that for loop, and displays only the testing center that meets your preferred testing criteria. So whatever filters you had clicked get saved in an object and then are then checked with every single one of the testing center criteria, whether that be the appointment, the testing method, the fee, or if you needed a referral. That's all checked and then displays only the ones that meet the criteria that you've selected. And I'm sure you're probably wondering, how am I even getting all of these testing centers? And that was all found by hand, going onto multiple sites and copying and pasting links into a Google spreadsheet, sorry, that you can see on the image. And essentially, I had to find the latitude, the longitude, whether or not they accepted, if insurance was required, if you needed an appointment, the test method, fee, referral, and the link to register for an appointment. Other than by finding it by hand, I also used the California public database where they release some of the COVID-19 testing centers that currently exist. And then I integrated the spreadsheet onto the Firebase real-time database using a Google Sheets plugin. So yeah, so on the front end, how it works is once the spreadsheet is uploaded to Firebase, Google Maps is initialized when the user loads their screen, and using the Firebase database, a function iterates through each Firebase object, holding the testing center data in that row. And then each object is then added to an array and displayed on the map as a marker. So when a user clicks one of the Google Maps pins, a pop-up appears and displays the testing center's information in an info window, as you can see on the image. By clicking the register appointment button, it goes directly to the testing center's registration page, where users no longer have to find or go to multiple websites to try to find that final page. And this will just help them directly jump to that registration process where they're able to register for their appointment, find the location, and get the email confirmation and ultimately get tested and within 2 minutes, for example. And also at the top of the info window includes the name of the location and a link where people can actually click the address of the testing center, and it will bring them to a Google Maps page where they're able to find navigation to that testing center, as well as the information. So if insurance is required, the test method, the fee, if there's a fee, and if a doctor's referral is necessary. So yeah, this is now a final product. As shown here are some clay mockups of what it actually looks like on your screen. So yeah, that wraps up the presentation, but we'll be going to find my code test right now to actually show you guys the site. Cool. Is it sharing the tab right now, the Find My COVID Test tab, or the slides still? Yeah.
It's sharing your browser with the browser tab, findmycovidtest.com.
Sweet. Yeah, so cool. So when the users go to findmycovidtest.com, it shows them their current, for example, right now I have my location services turned off. So it defaults to San Francisco. And let's say we want to find a COVID-19 testing center, COVID-19 testing centers that do not require insurance, have a test method of drive-through, have no fee, and do not require a doctor's referral. As you've just seen, the site updates and eliminates all of the testing centers that do not match our criteria. So we're able to see only the testing centers that match our own personal information and preferences. You can also actually sort by distance. So I've added an integrated distance filter where users can use this bar and calculate. So it calculates. So in this example, it's 13 miles, and this would be a 13-mile radius. So you have a better gauge of how far things are. And let's say you're helping your uncle who lives in Sacramento. You'd be able to type in Sacramento, and using Google Maps, it places the current location mark to Sacramento. And we're able to then repeat the process. It already keeps in the preferred preferences you've included, but you can click around and update them if you'd like. And then let's say we're interested in learning more about this location. We can click here, and then we see that this is the address to register, and it opens up a new Google Maps tab where we're able to then put whoever's address that is and then find the directions how to get there. And then what's awesome about this is once you click register appointment, it jumps straight to the project baseline site for this location, where the user would then sign up and then easily be able to just find their register for their test. Yeah, so that pretty much wraps up everything. But the next steps for this project would be to partner with medical and COVID-19 organizations to provide testing center information. Because currently I'm finding them all by hand, and ideally by having some partners that would be able to provide this testing data, we can make COVID-19 testing more accessible to everyone. But yeah, thank you all for listening in. If you have any questions, feel free to ask away. And if you'd like to contact me, here are my contacts. Yeah.
It's really awesome, Matthew.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I have one suggestion for your UI. You should have some sort of link to your PayPal or Amazon wish list or something on there, because this is a tremendous help to the community, and you should, I feel like you would be well within your right to have some sort of button there for people to, like, if they want to, you know, buy you a coffee or something as a thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is great, man.
I added a small little donate button on the right, but.
Oh, I see it down there.
Yeah.
Matthew, could you talk a little bit more about the Google Sheets plugin for Firebase and how you found that and what it actually does?
Yeah, so the Google Maps, or sorry, the Google Sheets plugin, I was trying to figure out a way to, instead of writing all the information in Firebase, I felt like it would be easier to do that in Google Sheets, and then somehow either whether that be like an API or some other integration, be able to pull from that and then create the Google Maps pins on the map. And oddly, I don't remember how exactly I found it. It was probably just like a bunch of random Google searches. But it's super cool. Basically, I can't show the Firebase for privacy reasons, but what happens is it live updates. There's a script function on Google Sheets where you can enter in that developer script, and basically that entire database on Google Sheets gets uploaded to Firebase, and it formats it perfectly how I wanted it. So yeah, it worked really well.
And you have the longitude and latitude in that spreadsheet?
Yeah. And then let's say, for example, I don't have the latitude and longitude for one of the locations. I created a function that finds that for me and then puts it in the console, so I can add that back to the live database.
Oh, I see. So like if you manually find another site, but you don't have the longitude and latitude, you put in the address and it kind of spits that out for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of nice. And then in terms of like the distance radius thing, what did you do to implement that?
Yeah, that's also part of one of the Google Maps API functions that you can use.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just had to make the interface widget and then connect it to the slider.
Yeah.
Connect the slider to the to allow you to choose a range for the Google Maps API. That's very cool.
Thanks.
Matthew, is this all other than the Google APIs? Is this all vanilla JavaScript, or are you using some sort of framework?
Yeah.
Vanilla. Okay. Nice.
That's awesome. I don't know. Other people have questions?
Yeah. If anyone has a question, just unmute yourself.
I was wondering, Matthew, this is so awesome, by the way. Is there a place, or are you planning to maybe have a place for maybe medical personnel or hospitals to click maybe a form to fill out their location or that kind of stuff, like self-submit data
Yeah.
on your website?
Oh yeah, I was wondering that too.
Yeah, so that's been on the back of my mind for a while now. Because what I'm concerned is that someone may just go on a Google form and just input a bunch of random locations and just troll around and like skew the results. And I don't want to have like mislead people to COVID-19 testing centers that end up just being random places. Yeah.
And I wonder how often these locations change. I mean, I haven't looked into it that much, but it seems to me that there are some testing centers that move around within counties.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you came across too?
Yeah, I've tried my best to kind of keep up to date with that, and really just add in the ones that seem like permanent locations. Yeah, but ideally, by having like a partnership with like Project Baseline. Project Baseline is like the biggest COVID-19 testing corporation right now. By having that partnership with them, all I would really need is just the testing center locations, because all of the criteria that I used to filter is the same. It would just have to be just like dragged down on the spreadsheet. But by having that updated location list, I would be able to provide more coverage on the map. Because currently, because I'm finding this all by hand, it's only usable in California.
Right, right. So what would you say was sort of your biggest challenge in putting this together?
I think the biggest challenge for me was, I feel like imposter syndrome was the biggest thing, just right off the bat. Originally, this was just going to be an interactive prototype, and after developing a prototype, I was just like, this needs to be made, because right now, like, we're in a pandemic, and this can save lives and make testing center accessibility like just improve it so much. And I was just kind of curious, like, how am I even going to get the data? And I felt that if I just found it myself and just started off with a small batch of maybe 10 locations just to do trial and error with, I could, as long as I got that, like this main feature out, and people could actually use it, that I would add more locations and potentially get partnerships with other organizations to help provide that data. So yeah, I think to anyone who is really just nervous about getting started with a project, I think just go for it, because you never know what will happen. And most likely, if you're really dedicated towards the project, you'll find a way on how to make it.
That answer was 100 times better than I could have expected that answer to be when Bill asked the question.
What do you mean?
I mean, you said, what were your challenges? I was expecting like, oh, I ran into this tricky thing in JavaScript, or such and such browser didn't want to play nice with the Google API, or something like that. And immediately went into like imposter syndrome, and here's how I hurdled over that, and here's what my advice is for other people. I thought it was fantastic.
That's awesome.
Are you yeah, and no is a perfectly valid answer. Are you comfortable sharing the kind of traffic you're getting on the website at this point?
Sure. Yeah, so immediately, once I had like my official launch day, I posted onto like Twitter, LinkedIn, and all my own social medias, to share with friends, family, and hope that they would just kind of share it around. And after posting it on Twitter, I had like within that first week, the traffic had around 1,000 viewers within the first week of putting it out. But lately, because of school, I haven't had that much time to kind of just promote and do that sort of like networking to push it out there even further. But when I still had the time, I was pretty much maintaining around 200 to 300 viewers a week. Yeah.
I wonder at what point you're going to get a big fat bill from Google for Firebase for, you know, at what point does that get kicked in? I've never been able to really figure that out.
Yeah, so I was really nervous about that in the beginning, because just on my own with testing, Google gives you like a free $200 a month.
Right.
And I was very close to hitting like I think I hit maybe like 150 just on my own test. Because every single time I'd make a change in the code for the filtering, I would have to refresh the page. And just getting started with it, it was really difficult for me. So all those clicks on my own added up real fast. But yeah, it worked out in the end. And I haven't gotten billed, so that's really nice.
I wonder if there's a way there, you know, a next step sort of on the back end, there might be a way of once you hit that data initially of bringing it into local browser storage, and then using it from there to filter and do other things. And that might save a lot of trips to the database for users. I don't know, I don't know. What do you think, Nolan? Is that a reasonable approach to kind of try to cut down on unnecessary network traffic?
Some sort of, maybe, I guess would be the short answer of it. If we're trying to, it depends on what we're trying to optimize for. If we're trying to optimize for fewer calls to the Firebase API, then optimize for that. Make one call to the Firebase API up front, grab everything in Northern California, everything in Sacramento, whatever, pull it down. And then, yeah, like you're saying, do all the filtering off of what's in your local storage and go from there. If you're trying to optimize for smaller bits of network traffic, I guess it depends on how bad that pain point is at first, that'd be the thing I would be curious about first, is like, if I do a generic search for find me everything in Sacramento, what's the average lag time on that? Does that load basically instantaneously or close enough that it's not a big, hurdle, or does it take clearly, a 10 or 15 second chunk of time to load that up? Then I might kind of extrapolate out from there where I need to, where and what I need to optimize and how to cache things. Yeah, but this is awesome, man.
Thanks.
Make your donate button bigger and have it blink or something so people know, like, we got to send this guy money.
Lights.
Seriously, this is fantastic. Have you had any luck, and if you don't want to say on the recording, that's fine. Have you had any luck getting a hold of the outfits you're trying to partner with? And no? All right. Well, then we need to send this video to all of them and show them what's going on.
If anyone out there is watching, feel free to email me, and I'd love to get in touch and become partners. Yeah,
that's very cool.
Yeah, this is fantastic, man.
Thank you.
Who else has questions? We got a lot of people here. I got to think other people are wondering about various aspects of this project. You can put questions in the chat room too.
I was wondering what was like the time frame of like the whole project, like the prototyping and like probably like the coding aspects of it.
Yeah, the time frame was 6 weeks. Yeah, it was. I remember coming up with the idea and just I was really intimidated at first, but once I kind of got the hang of things, I'm sure it would have taken a lot longer if I had like not stayed up till like 6 a.m. for like a solid few weeks. But it was well worth it. Yeah, I think 6 weeks was like a pretty fast turnaround. For myself, I was pretty impressed by that. Yeah.
And that's why, were you doing, was this like your full-time main project for those 6 weeks? You were juggling that around some other school stuff and things too, weren't you?
It was in the summer, but I was also taking the second summer session. So it was like, I really need to finish this like homework assignment, but at the same time, I was like, I need to make this. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Had you done any work with Firebase or the Google Maps API before starting this project?
I had done a hackathon where we had like briefly touched into Google Maps, and then the only experience I had with Firebase was in actually Professor Mead's class.
Nice. Okay. What did you think dealing with those two APIs? Were they easy to start working with, or kind of a pain in the neck?
I think also because I have like very little experience using APIs, that it was just kind of, it was super hard initially, but Stack Overflow is your friend. And I think that helped a lot. Just like seeing what other people had already asked, and then just like getting a better explanation about how that works. And also like learning to read the documentation helps a lot. But yeah, I think Firebase was probably harder for me than Google Maps. Yeah.
The Firebase stuff is crazy.
Yeah.
Cool. Other questions? Anybody else have any other questions for Matthew?
Do you have plans for other features you want to add to it? Like what's on your version 1.1 or whatever you want to call it?
Version 1.1 or like next version would probably be like a language input button. So you'd be able to navigate different, so whether that be like Spanish or Chinese or Vietnamese, I feel like that would be the ultimate inclusion for this project, because it is hitting a lot of those different groups, and I feel like especially where I live, there's a lot of different speakers, so I think that would help a lot.
Okay. Is it a progressive web app?
Not sure what you mean by that.
Oh, okay, so there's a thing called a PWA. It's basically a couple of config files and some stuff you can do in your code, how you set up your site to where it will, Bill or Rob, you might be able to give a better explanation of this than I will. It lets you not really download it as an iPhone app onto a device, but it lets you save a link on your phone's desktop that looks and behaves pretty darn close to the way a native mobile app behaves, but you don't have to go through all the rigmarole of submitting it to the Apple Store and waiting for that process.
This is just like a regular website coding.
Website.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I was just curious. Making a PWA isn't super terrible if it's already written in vanilla JavaScript and HTML. You can, I believe, you can go into your Google Chrome console and look for the audits of like rate this website, and it'll tell you like how fast it is and how many files get downloaded and that sort of thing. And one of those metrics will tell you this is not yet a PWA, but you can click like the Learn More button from there, and it'll tell you here's all the things you do to make it a PWA, and it's not super terrible. Just a thought.
Thanks. Yeah.
If you want to learn more about that, was all.
Where are you currently hosting it?
GitHub.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really? That's
Yeah.
awesome. It does. I would never have guessed.
It is literally like, yeah, it's that was the only thing that I had. The only way I know how to host a site is just through like GitHub pages and then putting on a domain. Yeah.
Cool.
How was that experience? I haven't actually hosted a site on there yet.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty flawless. Yeah, you just have to add your README and then just update it in the GitHub pages section, and then just configure the domain, and it works fine. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have a question for you in the chat over here. Candace says, which part of the project building was the most rewarding or enjoyable for you?
Filtering. Definitely the filtering. Yeah. I was stuck on the filtering for like a week and a half. And then I remember I just like, I finally figured it out at like literally 6 a.m. in the morning. Or it was like 6 or 7. And I was finally done. Like that was like the last component I really needed. And everything from there was just like, it just flowed a lot smoother after that. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, we got another one in the chat for you. I'm going to probably mispronounce your name. I apologize. Akshay asked, approximately how long did you spend making this?
Yeah,
Oh, you
so,
answered that a minute ago, about 6 weeks, right?
yeah, 6 weeks.
Yeah, about 6 weeks. Yeah.
That's amazingly fast.
Yeah, seriously, to go from 0 to final product in a month and a half, kind of part-time for some of that duration as well. That's really impressive.
Yeah. Very cool.
What's the best way for people to get a hold of you if they want to send you metrics to include in the project, or hand you piles of cash to promote it, or anything in between those two?
Yeah, feel free to email me at findmycovidtest@gmail.com.
Nice. We have another one in here. A question for you. Forgive me if this is a strange question. I'm new to the field. Just wondering if you got your outline from a source, or did you come up with the presentation structure on your own? That was from Ali.
Like the presentation itself.
Ali, are you talking about the slide deck you used at the beginning of the talk?
I think that's what he means.
Yes. Yeah. So the outline, your slide deck and stuff. Where did you come up with that?
Canva is your friend.
Canva?
Yeah.
Canva, what is that?
Oh, Canva is like, I guess they have like different templates and other like social media outlines you can kind of follow around with.
I have heard of Canva, but I can't remember where I've heard of it from. I run into it.
Yeah, I don't know that one. I'll have to check it out.
Meant the methodology of your structure for the slides, the headings, sort of like figuring out how you're going to present it, I am assuming.
Oh, I guess like the I don't know. I think the order just kind of came to me on what was the best. Oh, example 1, problem research personas. Not. I think a lot of it just kind of came naturally after taking design classes at school. Just kind of, as you create more projects, you begin to kind of learn what are the best ways to kind of make user-centered design projects. And I think a big part of it is definitely like interviewing people and getting a better sense of what other people's experiences are and integrating them into your project. Any books? I feel like a classic book is the Don Norman.
What's it called?
The Don Norman Design of Everyday Things.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That one.
That book is, I took it from I had to read it for one of my classes, and it is surprisingly interesting. Yeah. I would recommend that book.
Yeah. Also from Key, we had, how long have you developed your coding knowledge, or how and where have you developed your coding knowledge from? Was it from class or other resources?
Yeah, so the whole reason why I actually got into design was because of computer science. In my sophomore year of high school, I took my first ever intro to HTML and CSS web development class. And at that point, I absolutely fell in love with it. And going into college, I had believed that, computer science is the best major for me because I'm going to be able to make websites all day. That wasn't the case at all. Computer science in college is very much like back end, and that's not something for me. I really like to have like visuals and basically like just seeing a visual output. So I ultimately switched to design because of I would have that opportunity to make websites and also learn UI UX. Yeah, that's how my coding knowledge came from. It's just like constantly making projects over the course of from high school to now as a senior in college. some resources if you want to learn how to code. I would recommend like Codecademy or Free Code Camp. That's where I started to learn. But honestly, the best way to learn how to code is literally like finding a project you're interested in, and then just kind of, I feel like just jumping straight into it with like project-based learning is what I would personally recommend.
Oh, Jennifer's got a question for you too. Do you have any future projects in mind or anything else you're excited to work on next?
Currently, I haven't thought of any future projects. Kind of just focusing on maintaining this site, and also just very packed with school right now. Yeah.
That sounds like a fair answer. I mean, you've built a great thing here that's really going to help the community. I see no problem with downshifting for a bit, focusing on school and playing the occasional video game for a bit instead of launching, another product right away. But that's just me.
I agree.
Awesome. Any other questions from anybody? The one downside to Zoom is we can't see any of the little so-and-so is typing indicators at the bottom of the chat window. We just kind of have to wait for someone to do something. Oh, here we go. Candace, what are your guys' current favorite video games? My favorite video game forever and ever, Candace, has always been Burger Time. No matter how many games I've played or worked on, Burger Time is my absolute favorite. I'm currently playing a game on my iPad called The Perils of Man. It's like a point-and-click adventure game. It's pretty good too.
I haven't been playing any video games lately. Nothing worth mentioning.
Then can I recommend Burger Time to you then?
Sure, Burger Time. Although I have been playing around with this Oxy music maker thing. It's for making music. Have you seen that, Nolan?
No, I don't know this one.
An iPad app, and oh my God, it's addictive. And even somebody with zero musical talent like me can like put together beats and rhythms and all kinds of stuff, and just kind of have sort of interesting sort of electronic music going.
Oxy, O-X-Y?
A-U-X-Y.
A-U-X-Y, okay.
It's that, like, it in the evenings when I'm done with everything else, I'll sit down and just put on headphones and like work on putting together some tunes.
I'll have to check that out.
Just for fun. And I'm not, please note, I'm making nothing that's any good. It's
None of us are.
But it's,
Except Matthew. He's smoked all of us in the last 2 months with this Find My COVID Test app.
Yeah.
I'm on level 1,286 of Blossom Blast.
Of what is it?
Blossom Blast.
Oh.
Stupid. I did the match 3 type game thing.
Oh wow.
Correct the camera here.
Like a Bejeweled kind of deal?
Yeah. It's
okay. That's a lot of levels, Rob.
It is indeed. What the heck's going on?
All right. Any other questions from anyone? I think we're good. Thank you very much again, Matthew. That was fantastic. Good luck with the project. I will get the video edited together and thrown up on YouTube as soon as I can. And yeah, if anyone has data, money, cash and prizes, things they want to send his way, findmycovidtest.com and help him out. This is a great project, man. Thank you very much, dude. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.